Hello and welcome to Unity of Las Vegas. My name is Jim Lee and I'm so glad you're joining us today. If I remember correctly, it was July the 2nd, 2017 that Lisa and I were able to see the theatrical production, the musical production of Hamilton. Wow, was it great! And what made it just so good was several things. Well, one of them is a great American story. And number two, it shows how an immigrant escaped poverty, came all the way here to America, came to New York City, and became one of the founding fathers. It was a great success story. And then on top of that, it was done very well with rap and hip-hop, which is an unheard of thing. And Hamilton has a line in it that I like, as he says, "I'm just like my country, young, scrappy, and hungry. I'm not giving up my shot." Well, today I want us to tap into that dynamic energy that the play displayed, but also the actual founding fathers displayed, is they were young, scrappy, and hungry, and they're not giving up the shot because they were ready to bring forth something new, a great country. What great vision, what great passion. Well, today we're going to focus on the United States of America, and in particular, what it stands for. Yes, we want to take a look at what unites us instead of what divides us. And I know some of you will say, but Jim, hey, look, hold on, man. This is church. This isn't City Hall. Why are you going there? Why are you speaking to us with this political stuff in this spiritual community? Good question. Fair question. Well, the premise on which we are looking at, the premise on which the Declaration of Independence stands, or the metaphysics of it, is a spiritual one. What am I talking about? Take a look at the Declaration of Independence. It says this: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Oh, yes, these truths are self-evident. It's an important part here. Self-evident can only come about because of the Almighty. It is the creative force that allowed this to come about. So this isn't a political message today. It's a spiritual message today, and a spiritual message without any type of an agenda other than an alignment with the Almighty. So the talk title for today is simply this: History has its eyes on us. The story of tonight. And the order of service for today, we have the Daily Word by Mary Liz. Then we have special music. I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, I'll be delivering the message, and Lisa will wrap it up in a bow, allow us to experience this through the meditation. So let's begin. Thank you for being a part of this unique experience.
Turning point. Releasing all to God, I accept today as a turning point to a new life for me. Whatever challenge I may be facing right now, no matter how long I have been trying to overcome it, this very moment can be a turning point for me. I understand that the key to moving past any problem is to release it to God for the perfect solution. Working alone, I have not solved it, but letting God work in and through me, I can do anything. My willingness to surrender the situation to God is the turning point. I release all concern right now to God, who transforms every challenge into a blessing for me and for everyone involved. I am patient and poised because I know that all things are working together for good. What a sense of upliftment I feel in being free of any troubling concern. Today is my turning point to a new life. And from Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God.
We may not yet have reached our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell a story, they'll tell the story of tonight. They'll tell the story of tonight. Tonight.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear?
Well, let that lonely feeling wash away.
All we see is light.
'Cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand and hold.
Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away. No matter what they tell you,
Someone will come running and take you home.
raise a glass to all of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight.
Out of the shadows, the morning
they tell
is
the
bright.
story of tonight. All is new. It's only a matter of time. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around,
You will be found.
and when our children tell their story,
You will be found.
they'll tell the story of tonight.
Oh,
No matter what they tell you,
tomorrow there'll be more of us,
telling the story of tonight. The story of tonight.
Well, we're in the second part of a 3-part series on love. I'm going to start off by saying it was some time ago I was driving behind a car and it had a bumper sticker and it said, "Be a patriot." Well, I felt rather smug because I said, hey, I've served in the military, the United States Air Force, in fact, and I pay my taxes on time. I feel like I am a patriot. I serve my country. And then I thought, what is it to really be a patriot? And what was he talking about when he said, be a patriot? You know, sometimes at the sporting events, they may have the national anthem and people will not only sing the national anthem, but they'll stand up and put their hand on their heart. But also sometimes they will have, like a military influence with jets, fighter jets flying over, and tanks, and then rockets going off. And all of this is happening while the flag is waving. And this is another form of patriotism, but I think there's more to it than just paying taxes, standing up for the national anthem, and possibly serving in the military, that there's something else that I want to take a look at today. And today, I'm looking at a patriot is having a strong sense of what this country stands for. Stands for someone who is willing to stand up and for what's behind this country, which is love. However, what is happening today, what we're standing up for, is a lot of polarization, opposition, and we're getting to the boiling point. And what the road ahead of what seems like we're headed for is a lot of uncertainty, chaos, confusion, and not only some hurt feelings, but also some serious damage can be done to individuals. Now, I just wanted to say that at this very point, back to the title of the talk, history has its eyes on us. Now, how can we move forward in this trying times? Well, this process seems to me it has a stage of development, that human development, that can be applied to this. And so I call this, and what I've been taught, in fact, it was called the 5 M's. There was a message, a messenger, a movement, a machine, and then a monument. Let's start off with a message. So in metaphysics, where we say that divine ideas are everywhere, there is a divine idea, quote unquote, in the consciousness of the divine, of the consciousness of infinite possibilities. And in this consciousness, the message was ready to come into expression. A message of aliveness, a message of evolutionary ideas, a message of transformation. There was a message that was willing to come through, that every citizen is born equal and has the right for liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Oh my goodness, this was a wonderful message that was there, was ready to come through. Now, the message that I'm talking about can apply to many different domains. We're going to apply it to a couple of different domains, and I just want you to know that at first it starts off with a message. Then that message is captured by a messenger or messengers, which allows them to see things differently and do things differently. This messenger makes a declaration and creates a vision. And the person starts incorporating this message and becomes the messenger. It could take all kinds of forms. It's just like I lived in Kentucky for several years, not that far from where Colonel Sanders got started. And so there was a divine idea called chicken for everybody that Colonel Sanders captured, and then he became the messenger of spreading chicken everywhere. Well, a person can start in different kind of ways. I would call it Steve Jobs captured the message of technology and created Apple. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were the messengers that captured the message of a spiritual movement called unity, and our founding fathers captured that message and became the messengers of the divine idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This starts the third phase, the movement. And that is which this idea starts spreading beyond that person or a few people. And that idea causes people to feel like they're part of something is dynamic and it's creative and it has a purpose, and people get involved and they're cheerful and excited and they're eager and they're filled with zeal and enthusiasm for something that they really enjoy. Think of the spread of the evolution of the personal computer. I mean, it was just like a wave throughout the planet. That message just spread. And think about the message of love that started out and it really produced Christianity. Jesus Christ started it, was the messenger, but then it spread. Christianity came into existence. Well, when enough people get caught up, swept up in a movement, and captured by the ideas, the movement can take on an evolutionary phase and move people from one way of being to another way of being. And in fact, sometimes it can even cause a revolution. And this is the case with the American Revolution. A movement started, and then it became something that's just swept across the entire nation. Well, the next phase after this movement is a machine. Now, the machine phase is to take that movement, stabilize it, and extend the life of it. And so it can constantly grow and maintain itself. The machine is designed to create structures for stabilization. Example, with Kentucky Fried Chicken. So after he got started, came with the idea and got started in his little gas station frying chicken, he organized it, stabilized it, created a structure, and then he started franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I know because I was a training manager there for 7 years. And it's so interesting how it just came full circle. Now, the Unity movement started out with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, but then it spread as ministers and churches came about. That's what happens when we get into this next phase, which is the machine phase. And this our American government just evolved, and all of the Congress and everything that was developed, we have the rules and the dogma and the policies that are needed to be followed in order for the machine phase to work. Well, as a little challenge here, it gets to be a little rub here because we can get lost in this. We can start following, well, first of all, the letter of the law. We can start doing things because the law said it, and we forget about the spirit of the law, what it's about. This phase can become restrictive and very tight if we don't allow growth to manifest in it. And then sometimes we can get caught up into entitlement, and we can actually start to emotionally fall asleep, not paying attention, and not fully participating. And in this phase, we start to lose the zeal, the enthusiasm, the power that created it in the first place. And so when we get in that, the next phase, number 5, is called the monument. And this is all about belonging to the monument, and we lose the original purpose, and now we pledge allegiance to the monument instead of what it's really about. And here's where we are today. We'll take a look at the Pledge of Allegiance. It says here, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we honor the flag for what it stands for, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is where the potency is, but if we don't, we're going to lose it. General Omar Bradley says, America today is running on the momentum of a godly ancestry, and when the momentum runs down, God's help America. So as we take a look at this in this machine phase, with the spirit and enthusiasm start to waning, and we get into this monument phase, just want you to know, spirit and the divine ideas are still working and is still moving. If a system is closed to it, then something will start to be created, for spirit will not be denied. So who is ready now to take it on? Well, something is happening now in America. We are going through the stage where this monument that we've created is starting to crumble and fall, and it is getting ready to give expression to a new idea. And it's time now for us to take a look at this cycle and go back now with the joy and enthusiasm of what got this started in the first place. We need to get started back into this movement of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But this time around, we are transformed, but also we're going to transcend and include. We're going to include some good things. We're going to include liberty, but not as a destination. It's a journey. No more monuments. We're continuous in this movement of spirit. We're on a journey, and there's a price for this, and the price is high. We got to show up in our right mind and show up in love. So what do? First thing we've got to do is choose. Choose to be here. You're in the right place at the right time. This is a great time to be alive. Don't miss your shot. This is our opportunity to bring forth love everywhere, because that's what's needed. So if you don't stand for something, you're just going to fall for anything. So I want us to stand for love. And when I say stand for love, I don't mean stand against hate. I'm just saying stand for and stand in love, and let that thinking transform and elevate the consciousness that we have. But then there's the other part. For you see, there is too much hate going on, and sometimes the hate is going toward the haters who hate. And so now we've got to move beyond that to the spirit of what's in there. For you see, the direct Declaration of Independence was not written just for the 13 colonies alone. When you really take a look at it, it is really for a wonderful experience for the world. The American experiment that this was no selfish enterprise because there was a divine plan that the divine idea came through in the first place that I want us to get energized behind, and that all men this time and women, and this time all genders, are created equal and have a right to life. And the only way we can do that is stand up for love. Well, it's time for us to move in a positive way. In order to do that, we've got to incorporate love. We've got to feel it, think it, then act upon it. This is our mission. And now is the time. We're the people. History has its eyes on us, and I say that this is our time. Let's stand for love, mentally, emotionally, and everything that we do. Guide us. America and the world needs this right now. So now Lisa will bring it on home as we now step into our meditation.
Watching the actors on the stage of Hamilton, it's difficult not to be moved at depth by the portrayal of our ancestors, so willing to give their lives to bring a more love-based vision of humanity to life. We often find that it's the arts that have a unique voice that can be heard and received cross-culturally and can point to an archetypical truth that it's time to wake up to. The arts are often the voice of evolution, showing us what's next for us. So center stage, we have Hamilton and his newly found revolutionary friends, Mulligan, Lawrence, and Lafayette, singing the song, The Story of Tonight. Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. Raise a glass to the four of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us. I may not live to see our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell our story, they'll tell the story of tonight. Through these song lyrics, we hear the trust that is placed in us as descendants to remember the purity of this original fire, to honor all that has come before, and to be keepers of this flame. It nurtures the hearts of an America hungry to remember the passionate vision that began it all. When I was growing up, it wasn't cool to love one's country, and the 6 o'clock news certainly is a daily portrayal of our national shadow. And we are so much more aware now of what's not working that we have lost sight of this original fire. The good news is that at the edges of evolution, just as a new way of being is about to be birthed, we become aware of all of the ways that the old way of being is dysfunctional. Very often we emerge into a new stage through the shadow of the previous stage. Now, holding this larger picture makes all the difference in the world as we see a vision of a country that is not falling apart, but on the verge of its next highest expression. Now, as Jim mentioned, we are both aware of the awkwardness of bringing such a message, inviting people to love their country, to a spiritual community. Politics and religion have not always played well in the sandbox together. But clearly, history has its eyes on us. And light workers cannot ignore this crying out to heal our national community and consciously evolve it. But this can't come from a sense of duty to country or through religious dogma. It requires that we show up from the deepest part of our hearts. Who we are and what we do now matters profoundly. No one is neutral. At their roots, the tenets of freedom and equality upon which our country was founded are deeply spiritual. By standing in the lifeblood of these core tenets and allowing the wisdom of their living being to guide the way forward, we can discern and co-create the next evolution of our nation. This spiritual root system is strong enough to hold us as we unearth what's next for us. Within the nurturing of this rich earth, there is much light. So let's now take this into meditation. And I invite you now to begin to focus on your breath, finding a very comfortable way of being, comfortable way of sitting, taking gentle breaths in and out. And allow this breath to do its beautiful connecting work of all parts of your being. Bringing your physical body into alignment with your subtle body, your thoughts, your emotions, in alignment with your extended self, your expanded spirit. And just breathe into all parts of your being, feeling how they are all in relationship with one another, in harmony with one another. Now I invite you to focus on this extended part of yourself, your expanded spirit, that has a beautiful way of living outside of time and space. And bring to your awareness your deep connection with your ancestors. Back at a time when our country was just a seed in their hearts. Feel the depth of this connection. Sense the potency of this seed, even in this infancy form, having the power and the potential to grow into a whole new way of being, having within it everything it takes to grow into something as large, as magnificent, as sustainable as a redwood tree. Sense into the very essence of this seed, this divine idea of freedom and equality. Sense the light in them, the powerful resonance of truth in them. Allow this light and resonance to fill your entire being. Allow your imagination to create the divine destiny of these ideals. What do they look like in their highest light manifestation? Freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. And sense the worthiness of the seed to be nurtured, held, and cared for in the face of any shadow manifestations. Allow the warmth and brilliance of this light to overshadow the energy of the 6 o'clock national news report. And sense into your yes to being alive at this time in this country. Feel the perfection in it. You are exactly what this country needs right now. You know her heart. You love her heart and can live there with her. In you, these seeds grow deep roots. Feel your connection with all of your American ancestors that came before, and extend your gratitude for all that they were able to gift to these ideals, both perfectly and imperfectly. Sense this heart light extending back through the generations, and then flowing back from them to you. You are perfectly positioned by all that came before to tell the story of tonight, to carry this torch, to be the keeper of this flame. And now feel your connection with your descendants, who, whether incarnated or living in the realm of spirit, are already coming into being by the lifeblood of your story. Sense this heart light of gratitude in freedom and flow to them and back to you. Sense the eyes of history upon us, as across generations we will bring this living story into being. It's a story that began with just the core of us, always knowing that tomorrow there would be more of us. Look around at how lucky we are to live this truth we live, for after all, this is the way it really is.
Thank you, Lisa. Great meditation. History has its eyes on us, and we're ready to move forward in love. So thanks for joining us today. And you also can join us after the service for we've got a 30-minute or so fellowship time. Love to have you. If you need any prayer, please contact our office. We're here to support you. And thank you for all of your prayer support for us and your financial support. And so now we're ready to move forward in a dynamic way. We're going to close out with a prayer for protection for everybody that we know, including our beloved planet. And so now, repeat after me. The light of God surrounds us. You are, and I am, the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. This is our time. History has its eyes on us. We're not giving up our shot.
And hold,
Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away. No matter what they tell you,
someone will come running and take you home.
raise a glass to all of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight.
Out of the shadows.